Hey everyone, it's Rebecca, your resident groove finder, and it's Monday, and I'm coming at you today with some insights from just a super cool experience that I had this weekend. I'm sure there's some of you that have seen the picture on Facebook, and yes, it's true. Me and three of my friends from our little town here, we traveled 30 miles to the neighboring little town, and we went to a belly dancing class. And it was such a just a delightfully unexpected surprise. I actually there's specific takeaways that I want to share with you. Whether you ever do a belly dancing class, all I'm going to say first of all is stuff like this comes up, especially those of you that are in rural areas. Okay, I'm very rural. I'm 70 miles from the closest Target. That makes me rural, rural, rural. Got it? So if you're in a rural community and stuff like this comes up, go. And I say go for a couple reasons. First of all, try new things. It's good to try new things. Yeah, it's scary and it's weird and you're not sure what you're going to experience. I've never belly danced before and I'm not good at it. Okay, let's just put it that way. I'm brand new to it. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm sure it wasn't pretty, but it was really fun. Secondly, if we want cool things to come to our small communities, we've got to support people that try to put them out there. And the gal, Jamie, talking to you over in Ellendale, she does such a phenomenal job of trying to bring cool and unique things to their community. And it's just, you got to support people like that. Okay, so get out there, try something new today. But I want to share with you some of the specific things that I think are universally applicable to us as women. So this whole class wasn't just really about belly dancing. It was really about how we communicate with our bodies. And now this is all very fascinating to me because as a business facilitator consultant, I talk to people a lot about the value of nonverbal communication. But this was presented in a totally different way, which I just loved. And I love hearing. I mean, I don't think we can ever hear the same information too many times, especially when it's dressed up differently. And this was dressed up. You should have seen her. Look at my Facebook page. She's just beautiful. Okay, Shlomit, beautiful woman. All right, so this is what I learned. I really think that, okay, so first of all, if you aren't familiar with any studies on body language, essentially over half of the message that you're trying to convey to somebody is conveyed through the way you say it with your body. So it's not our words, it's not even our tone of voice, although the tone of voice has much more weight than the words themselves, but it's what we're doing with our body when we're saying these things. So it's about our eye contact, it's about our gestures, it's about our posture, it's about our stance, it's about all those things. Those speak more. They speak volumes more than the words themselves. And so what I was struck by as I thought about this, especially, okay, so this was it was almost a lab environment for this exact kind of thing because a bunch of us, most of us didn't know each other. I think there's probably about 20 of us there. And to walk in and to have to be so vulnerable because you don't know what to expect, you could feel kind of the trepidation in the air. It was like a vibration that you could feel. And then as we started to move and we started to get more comfortable with each other, you could see us actually looking at one another. You could see us actually connecting with one another. And I was struck by the idea that we sometimes intentionally isolate ourselves from people. And I have preached so many times. I say preach because who we surround ourselves with really matters. And in a small town, for me, it can be so hard to not feel influenced by negative people if there's negative people in your space. And so I always say protect the nest. The nest is everybody on the inside, the people that belong in there, your safe place, the inside, that inner circle, protect that. But what if instead of making people earn the right, what if we assume that everybody deserves the right? What if we approached everybody openly and we only decided to shut them out if they betray that trust? That to me is just a really different way to think about people. Because all I know is that connection is what I believe. This is a Rebecca belief here, okay? Life is about connection with other people. There's no meaning to all of this if it's not about connecting with other people. And real connection doesn't happen without being willing to open yourself up and be vulnerable to other people. And I think that our knee jerk or our kind of default idea about that is to make people earn their way in. And I just think we might be missing out on a lot of opportunities. Instead, we should walk through the world with our chest up, our shoulders back, our head held high, and our arms and palms open to the people around us. And you just never know what you're going to receive. And yes, okay, so let's talk about the flip side of that. Being vulnerable, being open, looking at people, portraying that open body language, what are you risking? Well, you're risking getting hurt. And I understand that. And I'm not minimizing that. The risk of that is real. You know, putting yourself out there and being open and being honest and being authentic and being willing to be vulnerable, you're exposing the softest parts of yourself. But again, the reward is worth that risk, because this is all about connection and you can't get it without being willing to go there. So that was the one thing. One thing I took away was just be willing. Instead of saying, well, I'm gonna hold back and I'm not gonna show myself. I call it full strength Rebecca. Okay. I've said this before, like, you can't go full strength Rebecca on the first meeting. People can't handle it. You know what? Be full strength you. Just do it and see what happens. And you know, you only have to start adjusting, like, where people are in relation to that inner circle. If they do something that makes you second guess whether or not they really belong there. But it's so much cooler to just say, hey, I'm open. You might like me, you might not. Instead of saying, you know, I'm protecting, I'm not letting anybody in. I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to protect my feelings. We're not meant to be disconnected and isolated from other people. So think about your body language. Think about as you move through the world. Are you open? Are you showing people that you're willing to be vulnerable? Okay. The second thing is just the general concept of sisterhood. And this matters more than anything to me, I think. Here, I'll share a story with you. This video is getting long already. I am such a rambler. When I was getting certified in the Dale Carnegie program, I was working under the direction of this like big kind of grizzly bear of an instructor out in Boston. And at one point I was up in front of the room. We had a lab class. So it was a class that was there. Just they knew that we were going through this process. And at one point I'm up in front of the room and I'm doing one of our big kind of crazy sessions. And the instructor stops and he said, "Why do you do that?" And I'm standing up there, and I mean, it's a stressful situation anyway. And I just wanted to cry, like, what? Why? Why am I doing what? And I said, what? What are you talking about? And he said, every time you're supposed to get really big, he said, and in fact, a lot of the times that you're up there, he said, you do things to shrink. He said, you bend your knees down a lot, you shrink your shoulders forward a lot. He said, why do you do that? And in front of this whole group of people, I almost lost it, because I thought, and I looked at him and I said, well, I'm just trying to be smaller. And he said, Rebecca, who told you need to be smaller? And I was like, well, nobody. And I'm standing in front of him feeling, just talk about vulnerable. I just felt like my whole underbelly was showing. And I'm like, well, nobody. And he said, from now on, he said, every single time I catch you, I'm going to yell at you. And he did. And so he told me, he said, you put your shoulders back, you put your head high, you put your chest out, he said, and stand tall. He said, I get it, you're tall and you think that intimidates people. He said, you can't be the full you if you keep shrinking back and trying to be smaller because you think it'll make other people more comfortable. So talk about an eye-opening thing. So back to the sisterhood. That was one of the things I shared at the end of this belly dancing class that was so affirming for me, is that I think a lot of times we're afraid to own who we are. Whether for me, it's my height and my big hair, my big mouth, and I'm loud. And I've always felt like it was just too much for people. And this woman just said, we have to love ourselves first. There's actually a part of the dance. So she taught us a dance. I am not going to do it for you. But I will tell you that each little section it was counted out to 8. There's this part where we hug ourselves. And so this is the dance. You're dancing. I'm kind of doing it for you right now. You're dancing and you count to 8. And then you lower down a little bit and you kind of sink, and she asks us to close our eyes. And this is the part where we're hugging ourselves. We're loving ourselves. And then the next 8 counts, we give that love out like this to the sisters in the room and to the world. Notice the ratio. We hug ourselves twice as long as we give it out to other people. When we can embrace who we really are, big hair, big mouth, big height and all, we're full. And there's enough to actually give out to other people. And man, if there's not something more poignant than that, I'm not sure what it is. Because I'm a mom, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, I'm a wife. And I think sometimes I forget that I truly have to hug on myself first. And so, girlfriends out there listening today, what are you doing to love yourself first? Because you got to accept who you are. And that's just it. I finally realized that Full Strength Rebecca is just going to have to do, because this is who I am. And the more I settle into that knowledge, I hate that it took me till 35 to figure this out, but it's the journey. I got to love it. The more I settle into knowing that it's okay to just be Full Strength Rebecca, the better I can serve everybody in my life. And it's the same with you. So today, challenge yourself to be open to other people and challenge yourself to accept who you really are. Because the world needs who you are. They need us. They need each of us. And that's what will make us a sisterhood, where we're not competing, but we're collaborating. So all my love to you, sisters, today. I'm just going to throw this out there. If you haven't joined the Groove Seekers community on Facebook, it's free. We have good conversation in there, and it's safe, and it's loving, and it's a good environment where you can be real and you can be you and be full strength, and we'll take it. Okay. So have an awesome week, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon. Okay.